It is time for the news bulletin, and we will be starting straight away with the main headlines. Minister of Foreign Affairs, Migration and the Egyptian expatriates Badr Abdulati headed to France, where he takes part in a ministerial meeting of the Arab Islamic Committee with the French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot. The committee members will exchange the points of view and the review of assessments, along with the French side, on the latest developments of the Palestinian cause, pushing for the recognition of the Palestinian state. The meeting in specific touches on means of handling the humanitarian conditions in the Gaza Strip. Palestinian officials in the Gaza Strip said that the Israeli airstrikes killed at least 6 Palestinians guarding 8 trucks against the looters in a deliberate act to hinder the supplies from reaching people in Gaza amid the Israeli 11-week-long blockade. The Israeli military said that 107 trucks carrying flour, other foodstuffs and medical supplies entered the Gaza Strip. For their part, a group said many of the number of trucks Israel said it allowed to enter Gaza have been held up at the Karm Abu Salim crossing. A spokesperson for the German government said that the 8 trucks that the Israeli occupation has allowed into the Strip this week were too little and too late. The spokesperson urged the significant increase of aid deliveries to reach the people so that the suffering in the Gaza Strip comes to an end. The head of the World Health Organization urged Israel to have mercy in the Gaza war and insisted peace would be in the Israeli own interests. At the World Health Organization Annual Assembly, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said that the war would not bring a lasting solution. The WHO Emergencies Director Michael Ryan said that 2.1 million people in Gaza were imminently in danger of death. 4 major hospitals have had to suspend the medical services to the past week due to the proximity to the hostilities or evacuation zones and the attacks. As the annual Hajj pilgrimage season approaches, the head of the Egyptian official Hajj mission said that 9,360 Egyptian pilgrims who traveled as part of the lottery mission have arrived in Mecca so far. He said some of them were coming from nearby Medina after visiting Prophet Muhammad's mosque, while the others came directly from the Egyptian ports. In the coming days, more pilgrims are expected to arrive in Mecca in organized groups ahead of their accommodation in preparation for the Hajj ritual, which is expected to begin next Wednesday. Iranian and U.S. negotiators resumed the talks for the 5th round in Rome over the Iranian nuclear ambitions, despite Tehran warning that a new deal might not be possible amid mutually exclusive demands. The talks, which begin in April, are the highest-level contact between the foes since the United States quit the 2015 nuclear accord during the U.S. President Donald Trump's first term. Since returning to office, Trump has revived the maximum pressure campaign on Iran, backing talks but warning of military action if diplomacy fails. The UN High Commissioner for the Human Rights, Volker Turk, urged 4 warring sides in South Sudan to pull back from the brink, warning that the human rights situation risks further deterioration as the fighting intensifies. A power-sharing agreement between the warring parties provided a fragile calm, but it has all but collapsed as the violent clashes have broken out between the forces allied to President Salva Kiir and his longtime rival First Vice President Riek Machar, who was put under house arrest in March. Turk said that at least 75 civilians were killed by the fighting in South Sudan, which displaced thousands from their homes. In Russia, the Defense Ministry said that it had downed 112 Ukrainian drones in its 3rd night of attacks, with Moscow again targeted with strikes that disrupted the operations at several airports. A regional governor said that 8 people were wounded in the Lipetsk region, around 450 kilometers southeast of Moscow, when debris from a falling drone struck an industrial zone in the city of Yelets and caused a fire. Since launching the military operations on Ukraine more than 3 years ago, Russia controls around the fifth of Ukraine, including the Crimean Peninsula. And record floods cut a destructive path through eastern Australia, caking houses in silt, washing out the roads and separating 50,000 people from help. State Emergency Service said that more than 2,000 workers have been deployed on the rescue and recovery missions. The details follow. Record floods cut a destructive path through eastern Australia on Friday, caking houses in silt, washing out roads and separating 50,000 people from help. 4 bodies have been pulled from the vast tides of floodwater engulfing parts of northern New South Wales, a fertile region of rivers and valleys some 400 kilometers up the coast from Sydney. Salvage crews launched a major cleanup operation as the waters receded on Friday, surveying the damage from half a year's worth of rain dumped in just 3 days. State Emergency Service boss Dallas Burns said more than 2,000 workers have been deployed on rescue and recovery missions. Burns said the rescue crews had plucked more than 600 people to safety since water started rising earlier this week. People clambered atop cars, houses and highway bridges before the helicopters winched them away, although the floods were easing. Burns said that the stagnant lakes of muddy water still posed a threat, including from snakes that may have slithered into homes in search of shelter. The storms have dumped more than 6 months' worth of rain over 3 days. The government weather bureau has said, smashing flood height records in some areas. The government has declared a natural disaster, unlocking greater resources for the affected areas. Minister of Planning and Economic Development, Dr. Roniel Mashot, said that the innovation and the entrepreneur's hip are 2 main factors to overcome the average income issue. She reiterated the importance of adopting a clear and national vision to attract the foreign investments and partnerships in line with the state's development priorities, adding that the Egyptian government formed the ministerial group for the entrepreneurs to support the emerging companies to achieve a sustainable and accelerating economic growth based on the competitiveness. Al-Mashot was speaking during her participation in the 2025 annual meetings of the Islamic Development Bank Group, currently taking place in Algeria. Minister of Electricity and Renewable Energy Mahmoud Asmat reviewed with Switzerland's ambassador to Egypt means of enhancing the cooperation and partnership opportunities in addition to attracting more investments in the electricity field, namely new and renewable energy projects. The meeting also discussed activating bilateral ties and opening new horizons of cooperation to achieve energy security and support the investment. Minister of Electricity presented the investment opportunities in the energy field, calling on the Swiss energy companies to increase their activities in Egypt. And parts of Northern Europe have seen their worst drought in decades in recent weeks, with the farmers from Scotland to the Netherlands fearing the dry spell will dent the harvests if it continues. A research institution said that water shortages can stunt the growth of crops such as wheat and corn. Countries including France, Belgium, Britain and Germany have seen much lower levels of rainfall than usual in some areas this spring, leaving the soil parched and dusty. And this brings us to the end of the news bulletin for today. Thank you for watching and goodbye.